Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is having a good day. And welcome to the session where we will be discussing about the evolving trends in the human resource domain. Our distinguished guest for today is Ms. Ranju Nambiar. She is an HR professional with over 4 years of experience in the business partnering and employee diversity space and employee experience space. She is currently working with CIPLA as part of the global employee experience team, anchoring key projects and initiatives in the engagement and inclusion and diversity domains. Apart from her very strong professional career, Ms. Nambiar loves spending time with family and she is a trained dancer. Let's all give a round of applause and welcome Ms. Nambiar to this session. Welcome, Ranju.
Thank you so much. The introduction was quite flattering. I didn't know I'm this great. Thanks, Johnji, for handpicking me and making me look great.
Thank you, Ranju. The pleasure is all ours. So, Ranju, so today we'll be discussing about the various trends in HR and how it has been evolving in the last few years. If you look at it in the last few years, say, for example, even the role that you are playing in CIPLA, that is handling employee experience and diversity, would not have been a position that would be held, would not have been a position, say, 15 or 20 years back. So it shows how important employees are for an organization and how some organizations have started to see employees and value them these days. So the floor is all yours. We would like to hear from you on how the industry is changing and industry is evolving and your thoughts on it. It's all yours, Ritu.
Thank you so much. I'll first start with a very brief introduction about myself. I think most part of me is what Johnji told. Apart from that, I'm also a mother to a 2-month-old, which is keeping me busy all the time right now. And I started my journey in CIPLA in 2018. I passed out of campus and I joined the Young Managers Program, which is the flagship management training program. For the first 2 years, I was an HR business partner for the commercial functions, where I used to take care of all the employee lifecycle activities. I've been across geographies in India. The next 2 years was as part of the Central Employee Engagement, Diversity and Communications team. So yes, when I see my journey of 4 years, like, when we used to study HR, it always used to be like hiring, recruiting, retaining people, and devising strategies. Of course, yes, but in this journey of moving from an HR business partner role to a center of excellence kind of role, I've realized that you do get a seat at the table. You do get to discuss a lot of issues which is related to the culture of the organization. You get a chance to make calls on productivity. You get a chance to make the life of people who are working in an organization better. So these are roles which are like, it speaks to your passion also, and it helps in making the overall ecosystem very inclusive. So that's how my journey has been. In my role of the employee engagement, inclusion, and diversity team, I think when I was offered the role, I was quite scared because first I didn't know anything about inclusion and diversity, and it was such a phase where this term was booming. Every other organization that you see, they're talking about inclusion and diversity. You see board of directors of organizations talk about it. There are numerous reports which quote the kind of productivity increases, which quote how organizations become better because of this. But you've not done this. You've always studied this, but you don't know how to implement it in an organization. So the biggest learning for me in the role is that simple things, day-to-day things, like often we think that we need to do a very big thing to make an organization inclusive, but that's not the case. For example, if it's women in your organization, how many women in your organization are joining back from a break? How many people have the feasibility to take a break? How are they treated when they come back in the organization? How is the culture like? Do we have people who are differently abled? Because you are often the average of the 5 people around you. I am someone who's been brought up in Gujarat. I studied in a government college. People around me were all people who were similar. So the thought process was also similar to approach a particular problem. But I think MBA and being in a B school shaped me in a way that I could have people from different geographies, different experiences, different walks of life, talking about things, talking about their experiences. It gives you a different perspective. It's the same thing transitioned in an organization, because you have someone who's from a communications field, you have someone who's been in an industry for 5 to 10 years. So the kind of experience, the knowledge, the kind of camaraderie that it builds is something different. So I think those are the simple things that we've tried to attack in CIPLA, also in the inclusion and diversity journey. We were at a quite nascent stage, I would say. Like, we just started off in the journey. So we were trying to build awareness around it. We were trying to do a lot of communication around, why inclusion? What is inclusive ecosystem? Because inclusion is simply respect. It's respect for an individual, respect for the thoughts and ideas that you bring to the table. How do you cultivate that in an individual? That can only come in when I'm personally aware that, what are my biases and how do I look at people? So we did a lot of work around awareness, communication. The primary focus is around gender diversity, which I'm very passionate about. And currently, the situation in life that I'm going through, I think I advocate it more than ever. So we're still in that phase where we are building a lot of initiatives on gender diversity. We're trying to learn from other peer organizations on, how can we get women back? How can we help them have successful careers? And the most, I would say, rewarding part in this entire journey is when you see people coming back and saying, a certain initiative helped me. It helped me in my career. It made my day better. It made my life better. So that's how employee experience really turns out to be. And it's been a brilliant ride for me for the 2 years. It's been back-to-back non-stop work, but very rewarding that is. So I think HR for me is not making rangoli. First of all, I get very irritated when I get those memes and I see that. And I feel that, why are we viewed like this? We should not be viewed like this. And it's the onus of each one of us to change that narrative and to say that, okay, we also make decisions and we also help in making the organization better. So I think that has been my experience till now. I mean, a lot to go now. I'm not preaching, but I just feel that HR is not doing attendance, not just recruiting. Of course, that's a part and parcel of your job. And there are a lot of things which are now getting automated with technology coming in. There are a lot of insights that you get, and it kind of helps you in making the business better. So that's been my experience. I think I went pretty long. Yeah, but
yes, like you said, most people think the main role of an HR is to take care of is to make rangoli, which is of course not the case coming these days. Even when it comes to making business decisions, HRs always have a seat at the table, and their voice also needs to be heard.
Absolutely.
So while you were talking about inclusion, bringing different kinds of people into the organization, so even that change has been seen in the organizations in the last 10 or 15 years, I would say.
Yeah.
So how do organizations which have already been having a set process, set mindset, how is the unlearning process taking place in these organizations, or is it easier to implement if at all you have a plan in place, or if you have a goal to achieve? How should HRs approach it when it's something new that they're trying to set up?
Yeah, very good question. And it is extremely difficult for everyone. I think unlearning is a huge challenge because it doesn't come naturally to us. Where I say that, 10 years back I was doing this and I'm doing the same thing in a different way, it doesn't come naturally. So I was just thinking of an incident that happened while we were running this initiative. Then I'll come to the part where I explain what we did and how we tackled this issue. Of course, it's difficult because we are used to doing things a certain way. Suddenly, we are coming and saying that we should hire women. Women bring this to the table. There should be diversity, not only women, be it race and ethnicity, be it differently abled, all of the entire spectrum, sexual orientation, everything. So it's too much for people to handle because it's always seen as an activity that you need to do to tick a box and say that, okay, we are a diverse company, or we are inclusive. So we were running these sessions for unconscious bias, where we were talking about biases that we have as individuals. For example, my name is Ranju Nambiar, and anyone who knows Nambiar, they know I'm a Malayali. So it by instinctively comes in that, okay, you're good in studies, like you would have topped your class, Keralites, they study a lot, literacy rate, etc. Yeah, I was good in studies, that's a different thing, but that's a common assumption that comes in. Um, Digressing. Yeah, so coming back to the topic, we had this sessions where we were running on unconscious bias, and there was this manager who came up and said he had a colleague who had just conceived at that point in time. They had some assignment to do, and there were 4 people in a team. And this manager, out of his empathy and out of his genuine concern to the woman, says that, you should leave. It was, I think, late in the night, and they had to do some assignment and they had to give the next day. So he says that, you should leave and you should take care of your health, etc. Blah, blah, blah. We are going to, the 3 of us are going to manage and pull this off. So this lady comes back. She's like, okay, so we had this manager and this lady both in a session, and we were talking about unconscious biases. We were asking people to share experiences. So this lady kind of came and spoke up that, my manager told me to leave. So the manager said that, I said it out of genuine interest. So the lady says that, but it was my call to make. If I feel that, I cannot manage the day and I have to take care of my child or whatever, I would have told you. I would have picked up the work and I would have gone home and I would have done it, or I would have done something. But it didn't give you the permission to tell me that, you go home, we'll manage. So he said that, I did out of my genuine concern. I thought of you like my sister. If my sister were there, I would have helped her and I would have told her that, you don't take the stress, you manage your child. It's okay, I will like manage it. That was my intent. So she said, no, but you don't need to do for that. I'm coming in for a job. I have things arranged. You should have given me the choice to make. It was my choice. Fair enough. He stood corrected there. And he was just amazed. He thought that, oh my God, I was doing good for her and she's coming and blaming me in a session like this. So these are very small microaggressions which we don't realize. And the person, the manager was doing it out of good intent. And he thought that, I'm becoming a bigger person by helping her. So that is when she said that, you make systems enabling in such a way that it could help me. Give me a flexible work environment, give me a remote working setup, or help me take care of my child, some sort of childcare arrangement. That is where you are enabling me to come and deliver and show my potential. That is how you're helping me. So that was an eye opener for the person and for everyone on the call. And these things keep on happening in conversations while we are saying, etc. I am here just talking about women because gender diversity is what we are constantly focusing on. But there are a lot of other things which generally from there, if there are people from a certain geography, we tend to react in a certain way. If there are people from some income levels, we tend to react in a certain way. And all the way we are trying to be nice, but it's not perceived nice by the other person. So when we started all of this at CIPLA, of course, leadership buy-in was the thing to get the ball rolling. And we started to do these conversations. We had a council created where we had representation from all of our geographies, all of our markets. These leaders used to talk about why diversity, why inclusion. They used to have small sessions where they used to do these conversations. They used to educate people. One of the key things which we started was unconscious bias, where we did small skits, performances, etc. We played out that, when there is a job interview going on, what are the questions that are asked? For example, if it's a married woman, this is a very cliched example, but it's always asked that, okay, when are you planning to start a family? How many years? When will you come back? Those are not needed. Whenever I'm planning to start a family or whenever I'm starting to do anything, that can be managed. The same questions are not asked to men. So why is that? A lot of these smaller nuances, even I don't think that men also suffer because of gender diversity. For example, if there are a lot of organizations are coming up with paternity leave right now, but whenever a man says that, okay, I want to take a break because I have to take care of my child, it's always viewed as like, you don't have your wife, like why you going and taking care? So that's how organizations, that's how people generally have seen it happen. So to change the narrative, it takes a lot of initiative. So we've been actively talking about these things. We have had role models who, kind of champion inclusion and champion diversity. We kind of talk about what they do, etc. So it's been a series of things which has kind of taken us to a point where we are openly coming and talking about diversity and saying that, okay, I need diversity in my team. Because when I have different people from different uh, walks of life, that is when I get different thought processes and perspectives to look at a certain situation. And when I look at people from different segments, I'm actually mirroring my customer base, because my customer outside can be a 7-year-old, can be a 17-year or 18-year-old kid, can be a 70-year-old man as well, can be anything. So I get to hear their voices from the people inside. So that's how we started off the journey. We looked at the awareness and the communication arm. We've parallelly looked at some of the initiatives which we could do for our women colleagues, especially in sales, in manufacturing. How can we relook at our policies? How can we look at flexible ecosystems, etc. And the third major arm being leadership. Leadership at different levels. Like we've looked at initiatives like our town halls, where our CEO addresses people. How can we build awareness at that stage? Then it cascades down to different businesses, different leaders talking. But definitely, it is when the leader believes that he's able to communicate, talk, and um, drive the agenda. So that's how it's been at CIPLA. But yeah, the role is not easy. It's something which you have to constantly reiterate, talk about, and make people aware about why it's needed and why it is actually so dominant right now. So yeah, that's been the journey here.
That's true, because different people have different emotions. The way they look at it might be different. That example that you said itself, it's like kind of like an eye opener. Like most people would have done that out of genuine concern, but like the woman said, more than concern, what needs to be there in this are systems or opportunities for them to work, rather than us saying that okay, we are a diverse company, we are an employee friendly company.
Absolutely.
That's something that every organization need to work on. And so when we look at right now in HR as such, HR tech is something that is everyone's saying tech is always enabling HR to perform better. So how has HR tech or how has technology helped in in the role that you've been working on, or what would you like to say to students who are, because most one notion that students who come into HR have is that uh, we are we don't want to get into technology, or we are tech averse. Got it. So what would those kind of students look forward to, or how should they approach it in the coming years?
I think technology is gold, guys. Whoever is thinking that we can run away from technology, no, please. HR analytics is a course which you should passionately understand, do all the assignments, do your pivots, whatever we look up, H look up, understand. It's Excel should be like back of the hand. That's basic. There are a lot of other things which come in HR analytics. I'll spend time talking specifically about my role. The first 2 years while I was doing business partnering, business partnering is all about how you are enabling that particular business, which includes hiring, retention, performance management, talent management, exit conversations, all of it. And imagine managing a span of 500 people and having to do um, joining offers yourself on a system. No, it's impossible. You cannot do that. So I think technology in terms of systems and management of getting all the documents in place, your joining letters is one part of your entire onboarding process. Then your entire onboarding process in itself, in terms of induction, what would the person do, who will the person meet, the 30, 60, 90-day connects, etc. Of course, you can design the strategy of it, of how do you want to play it, but tracking the employee satisfaction after 90 days, after each checkpoint, after 30, 60, 90, how's the employee feeling, going back after 6 months and saying, okay, what is the employee saying now? All kinds of surveys, which is now done through chatbots. That was one big thing which helped me in the HRBP stint. Next is all of your performance conversations and performance management system entirely. Because there you're talking about ratings, how much variable pay to be given, what is the percentage, all of it, which is all in Excel. Of course, you will have, when you join your organizations where you get placed in, you will have metrics where you say that X is to be done, Y is to be done. But all of this is um, something which is calculated and you will have to do a hit trial and error kind of a thing. So that essentially then all your exit conversations, because when you ask employees why are they leaving, there are a lot of things that they would say. It's not about you understanding and writing it down somewhere. You could also like jot it down, do a semantic analysis, see that what are the most number of things which people were leaving me saying, where are they going, where are they joining, how can I make my hiring effective, how can I make it better. Then all the talent management conversations, everything related to what the employee has done, starting from different kind of roles that they've been into, the number of years they've been in an organization, the kind of ratings they've got, everything together kind of summarizes their performance. So it's a big enabler if you can see all of this in one go in front of your eyes, nothing like it. So that way technology has helped immensely in the first role, and also your whenever you hire a person, what is the salary benchmark that the industry gives, what rate, what percentage do you hire it, what percentile you provide, all of this. So technology is something that you can't run away with. And I think a lot of HR business partnering is becoming very, interesting, because you get to apply your mind, and all of these tactical things get managed through technology. You're not sitting and typing joining letters, or adding the name in the joining letter and stuff like that. You're not doing all of that. Is automated, so it saves a lot of time, and it also gives you scope to think and innovate. That how can you make the experience better for the person, how can you at the end impact business in a way, I would say. And in the role that I've been in last, which is in inclusion and diversity and employee engagement, I think one thing which I did in the role was we had this thing called an inclusion and diversity dashboard, which is essentially different pivot tables linked together. Very basic thing of that. It's just basic Excel, which I started doing. And I never thought that we could make a dashboard out of it, but we ended up making a dashboard, which gives us a full glimpse of how many people in CIPLA, what geographies, what is their gender ratio, what is the gender ratio at different bands, how many women do I have in different bands, what is the experience level, um, what months, what is the number of women who are joining, who are leaving across the year, what are the reasons that they are leaving, etc. So it helped us identify. So we used to roll this out to all of our businesses and functions. And we started seeing some trends that in a particular function in this month we are seeing more people leaving, or we are seeing more women in this particular department in this level, but certain levels there are no women. For example, in sales we just have women at the entry level, we don't have women in senior level. So we started consciously taking that call that now for senior hiring we would focus on having a women on board first. So all of these insights came from that dashboard that we made, and that has immensely helped me. And that is all my HR analytics class, where I was taught like how to do pivots and how do you link that table, etc. So I think it's an immense blessing. And with all of the current things that are coming up, like like chatbots, different kind of technology and tools that you could use, I think technology is something we all should adopt, learn. It also makes our life simpler in a way, because you're not spending so much time on doing something which could come off easily using a tool.
Yes, fair enough. That should really be an eye opener to a lot of people who are listening over here. That, don't stay away from technology just because you are a teacher. No matter, no, for that matter, not only HR, for that matter, whatever you're working on. Like she said, HR.
Yeah, and one more thing. Sorry, interrupting you, Jamji. It's always said that what is it said? HR is soft skill. So like you just have to speak very well, and you have to be a very nice and soft person. You will be a great HR. But there are a lot of people who are into compensation and benefits and stuff like that. And that's hardcore numbers. And anyone and everyone who's pursued HR and who's like a number person, it's the go-to field for you. So I think the arena is open. There are a lot of areas where you can experiment, explore, etc. in HR as a domain.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And coming back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of employee experience. So you were saying about how organizations right now bring together as part of inclusion, how they bring together people across a different race, ethnicity, gender, and everything together. have there been instances wherein people from the organization itself, not from the leadership of course, from the team that says that this is actually affecting productivity or this is actually affecting business, as in diversity in the organization is affecting business or anything of that sort, or has it always been uh, everyone is pro or everyone is for the changes that is happening in the organization?
Yeah, I see diversity in the organization definitely affects business performance. But if you ask me that, do you have you done some kind of study and stated or proved it? No, we've not. Because right now we are in that stage where we are really talking about diversity and building it. So we've not been able to quantify and say that, X percentage of our output was because we had diversity. No, we're not. We're still getting there in terms of a phase. That's what pretty much I can answer on that. I don't think we've had systems which kind of measure and say that, because of the diverse perspectives or because of the diversity in this room, that is where we went and we did X% business. No. But generally what I've seen is in all of these teams where, where we have very skewed kind of ratio, where we have more men, we don't have women at all. What happens is it's one kind of thinking or thought process, etc. Diversity in itself just says that you introduce different kind of ideas on a table. So I don't think we need to go in there where we prove that you get diversity, your business will improve, because that's a no-brainer. That's my view. Yeah.
All right. All right, Ranju. So, before winding up, do you have anything to say to students, not only from HR, from students who are in college, who are in college right now? You graduated out of college recently. So, right now, from an industry perspective, so what would be your best advice to those who are studying right now, students?
To you and your batchmates, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think you should be open to any domain in HR. Try to learn the maximum. HR is not just organizational behavior textbook, which has theories. No, we have things beyond that. Um, Read about different fields. Try to identify your area of interest. Look at a lot of webinars and conversations which happen online. There are plenty of them where you see HR leaders speak about. If you have a role model, um, if you don't find one, if you have, then please look at the career graphs that they've had. That how have they progressed in their careers? What have they done differently? Whenever you get time, try to look at an SHRM course. Try to look at some specific specialization that you could do, and don't take subjects lightly. Please, like, invest all your time and energy into it. And of course, any practical person can pursue any domain that you're in. But for HR in specific, try to look at different organizations which have turned around, which have stronger HR policies. What would you do in a scenario like that, etc. So I think reading, exploring, and looking at possibilities in the domain is what I would recommend and say.
Yes. Just one last question. So, right now you were talking about having role models as well. So, is there any role models, or is there anyone that you have been looking up to in your career as such?
Yeah, Leena Nair is a big role model. I have, of course, everyone has followed her trajectory, but going from HR to being a business leader and being the head of a business is incredible. So, she started from XLRI. She's been into HUL from that time. She started in a plant role. And if you look at her trajectory, she's gone through different kinds of roles, etc., in corporate functions, HR VP, COE, and she did inclusion and diversity, which I'm happy about because I did that as well. And then she became a leader who she is. So she's someone I keenly follow. And it's this is a public person, this is the person out there in public which I'm talking about, but there are role models in my own organization, in my own team, like my chief talent officer. Her name is Pallavi Bakshi, an incredible leader from HUL. She's now joined CIPLA and she's been with us for the last 2 years. It's been amazing to work with her. She's also again a person who's done a COE stint, been in talent management, leadership, learning and development, been an HR business partner, has run diversity across HUL, and now has moved to CIPLA. So I think role models are in and around. It's not one person. It's good things that you find in different people and you kind of bring it together.
Thank you, Ranju. So, firstly, lastly, let me thank you from the bottom of our hearts for taking out this time. I know you're having a very busy schedule, but then even then, taking out some time, talking to us, telling us about how HR is evolving, what the various trends are, and in particularly about the role that you're playing, and when it comes to diversity, inclusion, and employee experience and all. I'm sure this would be definitely an eye opener, or a lot of new learnings would have come out of this session as such. And we wish the very best for you. We hope to see you also grow and become Alina Nair or Ranju Nambiar in the future.
Yes.
All of us will be looking forward to.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.